It's time for our full Alabama LSU preview and prediction show. Let's get rolling. What's up, everybody? Welcome into Tide Talk Live. Stacy Blackwood, joined as always by my good buddy Jake Thomas as we get ready to do our deep dive into our preview and prediction show for Alabama versus LSU coming up on Saturday night from Tuscaloosa inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Jake, cannot wait for that matchup. Looking forward to it. Hope you've had a good week, and I'm excited to dive into this game.
Yeah, Stacey, I'm excited as well. It's going to be a good matchup. In our early preview show that we did a few days ago, we mentioned how LSU does have the dues to match up against Alabama. So we're going to come out strong early and play hard nosed football the entire game because LSU is more than capable of winning this game.
Yeah, they're going to come out firing too
Mhm.
for Frank Wilson. So excited to dive into this matchup. Before we do that, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. And if you listen to us on podcast platform, make sure you're subscribed to us there as well, or you follow us, or you're downloading our episodes. I do want to say thank you for all of our platforms. YouTube has continued to grow, and our podcast side is growing as well. So thank you guys for all the support. We greatly appreciate it. Jump in the comments right now here on YouTube. Give us a Y for yes or N for no. Will Alabama beat LSU? We want to hear from you guys, and also give us your score prediction for Saturday night's matchup inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Jake, let's just start with Alabama's offense versus the LSU defense. And, it's kind of a thing we kind of talked about in our earlier show this week where, LSU has kind of had a little bit on the ground their last few games, whether it was Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia, South Carolina kind of piled up some rushing yards. Of course, Texas A&M kind of had their way with him as well. But on the flip side, this Alabama rushing attack has been, anything but good this year. So, is this a good opportunity for Jam Miller and the Alabama backs to get going here as we hit the home stretch?
Yeah, Stacey, I was going to say this is the golden opportunity for them guys to get going. LSU fields a better defense than what they have in the past for sure, but they still have holes and their rush defense is pretty bad. I mean, like you mentioned, Vandy has ran on them, A&M, and I think even Florida had some opportunities in the rushing game as well against them. But overall, they have been susceptible of giving up big runs in the past. So we'll see if this rushing attack can get going. And we've talked about it, Stacey. We're not really as concerned as a lot of Alabama fans with the rushing attack right now, just for the fact how good Ty Simpson has been. And you really can't take the ball out of his hands and all those playmakers out wide's hands at the moment when they're on top of their game. So I'd like to see it get a little better, and I think it will once we nail down the offensive line. With them being a carousel all season, it kind of doesn't help matters. So I think once they get that figured out, and we just start making plays and opening up holes, which we kind of started seeing that a few games late in the in games, especially against Georgia and guys like that. We started making some holes and moving the ball. So I think there's opportunity there for the running game to be good. Just has not happened yet.
Yeah, and like you mentioned. I do think we obviously know the strength of this team is Ty Simpson in the passing attack, but if Alabama could just unleash a small sample of a rushing attack, this offense could just hit another level.
Yeah.
And I do want to give Grove credit for at least kind of sticking to trying to run the football and not just totally giving up on it. I mean, they've still made an effort each and every ball game to kind of run the ball and give Jam Miller some touches, Daniel some touches, Kevin Riley some touches. They've put Germ in the backfield to run the ball a little bit. So I do think that Grubbs made the effort to try to get a running game going. it just has not worked. You mentioned the rotation along the offensive line. I don't think that obviously Jam Miller's been he hasn't been completely healthy all year long, so that's part of it as well. So, Danny Lewis is our best blocking tight end. He hasn't been healthy all year. He's played
Right.
very sparingly throughout the season, and he's once again questionable for this game as well. So there's obviously a lot of reasons why the ground game has not gotten going yet, and hopefully after the bye week, you kind of get more guys healthy. Maybe you solidify that offensive line, and you can have a little bit more consistent rushing attack. At least I'm hoping that's what we see against LSU. I do think if Alabama can run the football against LSU, they're going to be able to kind of have their way in this game because it's obvious that Ty and those receivers are going to make plays in the passing game.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacy. Once those guys get into space, they're pretty dangerous, and can't sleep on Josh Cuevas as well. The kind of season he's putting up. But yeah, we have seen some bright spots in the rushing attack with, especially in the last couple of weeks with Daniel Hill, and he's just now coming on because he was hurt in fall camp and really did not get a chance to make the lineup for the first like 3 or 4 weeks. Now you see why he was talked about all summer long, and then the few little clips that we saw of him in camp, he's just a dude, and he's starting to find his way, and you're starting to see him do something different than Jam Miller does, and it's kind of opened up a little bit on the rushing attack when he's in the ball game.
Yeah, I do think Daniel Hill could be an X factor for this Alabama offense down the stretch. Not only for what he can do running between the tackles and making plays on the ground, but also his ability to make plays out of the backfield in the passing game. So I
Mhm.
think that's a part of it as well. And uh, the one good thing that Coach Grubb and this offense has been able to do is using the short passing game as an extension of the running game when the traditional running game has not been working. So,
Yeah.
uh, just kudos to this coaching staff to find ways to be able to consistently move the ball, kind of handcuffed without having a really good traditional rushing attack. So, I do think if they can kind of find their way a little bit, it doesn't have to be elite. It doesn't have to be a top 5 rushing attack in all of college football or even in the SEC for this Alabama offense to do what they or accomplish what they want to accomplish. But it does need to get better, a little bit better, I believe, if they want to make a run at a national championship.
Yeah, I agree, Stacy. It needs to get a little bit better moving forward, um, because once we get into deeper playoffs and potentially and all that, it's going to be a lot harder to find yards in the air. These guys are still going to be able to make plays, but you still need to have a competent rushing attack to spell the passing attack that we have.
Yeah, and I mentioned that Danny Lewis was questionable according to Wednesday's availability report. Ryan Williams is actually listed as probable, Jake, and I want to bring this up just real quickly because there's been a lot of talk about Ryan Williams this year, and I get it. He's dropped a lot of passes. There's no doubt he's dropped more passes than what he should, but I mean he's still got almost 500 yards receiving.
Hmm.
I mean, he's got 33 catches, 495 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and which I think I'm trying to he has 30 less yards receiving than Jeremy Bernard, and he's played what? 1 full less game
Yeah.
and was in the Missouri game, he was just used as a decoy because he was injured in that game too.
Hmm.
So, basically, in 2 less games, he's only 30 yards shy of what Jeremy Bernard's done. So,
Right.
he has made a bunch of plays for this offense.
He has.
But
Mhm.
have we I don't know that we've considered enough that this dude's probably beat up pretty bad because I feel like he's listed as probable every single week.
Yeah. He took a lick in the Florida State game, which should have been targeting, and it wasn't. That's another conversation for another day. The targeting rule it's just all over the place right now. But I don't think he's really been healthy since that. I know he's had some issues, but he's still a playmaker and a dynamic playmaker at that for this offense. And when he's called upon, here lately, he's made the plays. I know he had one drop on a fourth down play against South Carolina, but I think that was just an extension of how bad the offense was that day. It
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily on Ryan. So I I love the kid, and I know he's got a bright future, and I just hope that whatever this lingering injury is, it doesn't affect him in the future. Hope he gets completely healthy. Now it's kind of hard to get healthy in the SEC play for sure,
Yeah.
but in the off season, whenever that may be, hopefully it's after a national championship run. um, but I hope he gets 100% healthy and then comes back and dominates his junior year.
Yeah, when you think about it, Jake, this wide receiver room has not been fully healthy since the Vanderbilt game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Ryan Williams has been dinged up,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Zay Horton has been dinged up,
Yep. Brooks.
Lotsair Brooks has been banged up. So
Mm-hmm.
3 of your top 5 guys have been banged up. I mean, and I'm talking about where they've missed games or where they've missed a significant amount of snaps in games, like
Yeah.
Zay Horton has. So, I mean, I think this bye week was huge for Alabama's offense in getting guys healthy, the playmakers healthy. Like I know Ryan Williams is listed as probable, like Ryan Williams, like Zay Horton, like Lottie Brooks. Getting those guys back healthy for Ty Simpson is going to do wonders for this offense, and I think that could be a another explanation of why the offense was a little hit or miss against South Carolina, and
Mm-hmm.
plus it being on the road, and South Carolina played really well in that game. So
Yeah.
I do think that kind of explains a little bit of that as well, because Brooks didn't play, Horton didn't play, and obviously Ron Williams played, and he had some moments, but he's obviously not 100% because he's listed as probable every single week. So he's got an
Mhm.
injury.
Right.
He's got an
Mhm.
injury that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
So and kudos for this guy playing. He's obviously tough.
Yeah, definitely.
He's obviously tough.
Mhm.
Before we move on to the defense, Jake, I want to ask you if you had to pick an X factor for this Alabama offense, not named Ty Simpson, for this matchup against LSU, who would you go with?
Man, you know, I'm probably stealing your thunder here, but I gotta go with Brooks, man. I mean, that kid when he's on the field, he's just a difference maker. It seems like so. Um, I really think with him being back, you're going to see a different. I don't know. It's not a different scheme, I would say, but just a different attack. Because when he's on the field, he's just, as we talked about the other night, he's just a safety blanket. It seems like for Ty Simpson, and when you got those three guys out wide, and Bernard and Horton and Williams, the fourth guy is usually wide open because you're gonna have to put him with either a linebacker or a safety, and that's just a mismatch made in heck for a better word. But I think he's gonna have a big game.
That's a great pick, and I like it. I think he's gonna have a big time performance. I said earlier that my bold prediction for the offense this week was that he would reach his first career 100-yard receiving game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say I think the Alabama running backs could be a huge X factor in this matchup. I think that it could be a game where this offense tries to establish a run
Hmm.
and tries to out physical LSU at the point of attack and get something going with Jam Miller, with Daniel Hill, get the offensive line some confidence in run blocking, get the running back some confidence in toting the rock. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the running backs. I think they could be a huge X factor for this Alabama team on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's a good pick too, Stacy. And on the opposite end of the LSU availability report, Wick Weeks is questionable, and his brother Zach is doubtful. Um, his brother has come in and played really well in his absence, but even if Witt is back, he's not 100% healthy. So he's really going to be hamstrung on what he can do physically. So it could be a good opportunity for this Russian attack to find some holes this weekend for sure.
Yep. All right, Jay, let's move on to Alabama's defense against the LSU offense. You know, Alabama's defense, Jake, we're 8 games into the year. This is Alabama's 9th game of the season coming up. how would you rate this defense so far? I mean, what kind of grade would you give this defense so far?
I would give it a man. I'm not trying to sound homerish here. I'd say A minus.
Okay.
Honestly,
Okay.
you know
I was
they.
gonna I was gonna go B plus. I
Yeah,
and I say that because there's been too many moments throughout the season where big plays have been given up.
yeah,
Just a few too many.
yeah. I agree. I agree with that. But in the second half, we talked about this defense is lights out. I mean, they've only given up. I think the most they've given up in the second half, touchdown wise, is 14 to Missouri, and we talked about one of those was
Was
a
gifted to him by
fumble.
the offense.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the other one was prevent defense late in the game. So, other than that, I mean they shut Georgia down for 7 points in the second half. Diego Pavia didn't get. I don't think they got any in the second
Mm-mm,
half. So
mm-mm.
this defense in the second half, man. Say what you want about Kane Womack. He puts it together at halftime, and then this defense goes out and balls out in the second half.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about the adjustment that Coach Wommack has been able to make because I think that's going to be big in this game, and I think they're
Mhm.
going to have to be adjustments on the fly in this game because I'm not saying there's going to be a wholesale change in what LSU does offensively in
Mhm.
terms of the dudes they put on the field or anything like that, or even formations. But I do think with Frank Wilson taking the interim coaching job, he was the running backs coach, so what does that mean? That means he knows the running backs more than he does anybody else on the team.
Mhm.
So I think he's going to want to try to win on the legs of his dudes. So
Right.
I do think, and Alabama's defense has been susceptible to giving up big plays on the ground. So I do think LSU is going to be a little more aggressive in trying to run the football on Saturday night. So uh, and maybe how they do that looks a little different now that they've had a bye week to kind of mix some things up and change some things up. So I think Coach Womack's going to have to make some changes on the fly and adjustments on the fly to kind of counter whatever LSU shows early on in this matchup. So what he does early in that game is going to be critical, and that's probably the most important thing I'm looking for in this matchup is how quickly the Alabama defense can adjust to whatever changes the LSU offense is going to be making. They're a new guy calling plays, a new guy as a head coach. So I think their tight ends coach is now going to be calling the offense plays. I can't think of his name, but he's
Yeah.
going to be the play caller now. So there will obviously be a little bit of changes made from this LSU team that Alabama's not going to know about because hasn't been put on tape yet.
Right.
So that part of the chess match is going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacy. And we talked about it. It's going to be hard for them to implement a brand new system in 2 weeks, but they can add just small
Wrinkles, just
more
small wrinkles.
wrinkles, right? So we've got to be ready. And one thing that what Coach Womack has been successful at is not getting the play in time, and we look lost at trying to get the play in, so we can't get the play in late because that could backfire on us. So, like you said, him making adjustments on the fly and getting the play call in quickly is going to be our audibles in quickly is going to be key.
Yeah, and I look at this LSU offense, and they've been disappointing this year for what a lot of fans thought that they would be here in 2025 with Garrett Nussmeier coming back at quarterback. You bring in Barry and Brown from Kentucky. You have Aaron Anderson. You have Trades Green, the LeBron James playing tight end for you. I mean, basically
Yeah.
what he is.
Hmm.
6'7", 250, runs like a deer, has a catch radius like you wouldn't believe. So
Yep.
uh, just a complete mismatch nightmare for opposing defenses. So you look at all that and you're like, man, this is going to be a difficult offense to stop. But Nussmeier's been injured. He's obviously not healthy. They can't run the football. Their offensive line can't pass protect. And that has led to this LSU offense not being what everybody thought it would be. But that doesn't mean, like we said earlier this week, that
Hmm.
they don't have the dudes to make plays on you.
Right.
And if this LSU offensive line, and it would have to be a big time change from what we've seen all season long because they give up a lot of quarterback pressures, a
Right.
lot.
Yep.
And Yanze Pierre is coming on. LT Overton's coming on. Jane Smith is starting to play well. Tim Keenan's a plug in the middle. You bring guys like Edric Hill off the bench. He can get after you a little bit. So London Simmons is playing good football. So the Alabama's front is getting better, and this LSU offensive line is really struggling. And that, to me, is where this football game could be won for Alabama, and where they can kind of assert their will defensively by dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacey. I really feel like LT Overton can have a big game here, but everybody on that defensive front, I feel like, could make plays. One thing that kind of not really concerning, but I got my eye on really two things with this LSU offense. You had Harlon Brown, who had he only had 59 yards rushing last week, but only 9 carries, and that's 6.6 yards a carry. That's pretty good. And I think the backup had like 5 yards a carry, actually 7.2. Caden Durham. So, I think, like you mentioned, with their running backs coach now being the interim head coach, they're going to try to run the ball. And so we've got one of the Achilles heels for Alabama this year is plugging the correct holes on the rushing attack. So we've got to make sure we're in that getting that hole whenever that back comes through, and we got to make the play. We can't let them bust out, 8, 9, 10-yard runs, or it could be a long day. And the other thing, Bacon Brown, that's a guy who I thought would have a great year, and he's only got like 300 something yards receiving, only 1 touchdown. So that's a guy, honestly, who's due for a breakout game. And I hope it ain't this week. I hope it's like next week or a week after.
Yeah, it's so crazy looking at the dudes they have on offense, Jake.
I know.
You mentioned Harlan Berry and Cade Durham. That's a really good 1-2 punch on the surface, because that Cade Durham is that physical guy who can get you the tough yards. Harlan Berry is the freshman. I think he's a true freshman actually, who's more quick and explosive and can make the big plays. And you look at it, you're like, hey, that's going to be a tough tandem to slow down. But once again, the offensive line has just not been very good. I think LSU's 124th in rushing offense in the country out of 136, maybe.
Yeah, teams.
And Alabama's not better; they're much better, like 112th or something. So,
yeah,
I mean, and we're both looking at this game as it could be a game where both teams try to start running the football better.
right. Yep.
It's so this game's really interesting, Jake. And Alabama's defensive front, to me, it's their time to show up and show out in this game.
Yep.
You're at home. You're playing an offensive line that has struggled all season. You better show up and light them up. This is a game where if you're the front seven, if you're LT Overton, if you're Tim Keenan, if you're James Smith, I'm even going to kind of single out James Smith here. You better show up, man. Make some plays.
Right.
James Smith is far too talented to not be more productive than what he's been.
Right.
When I watch that guy, he has some of the strongest hands I've seen in college football this year. Being able to shed blockers, he just doesn't do it consistently.
Right.
So, and I think you brought it up. He makes a lot of mental mistakes, whether it's jumping off sides. He had the 15-yard penalty on the late hit on Sellers.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember this or not. He had a 15-yard penalty with a late hit on Thomas Castellanos in the first game of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's plays like that you can't have.
Yeah.
So I want the best version of James Smith moving forward. I want the best version of LTO. LT Overton has first-round traits with third and fourth-round production.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is a opportunity for this defensive front to really show up and kind of assert itself as the dominant unit in this game, in this matchup against a struggling LSU offensive line. And I think if they can do that, obviously that's going to lead to a lot of success for this Alabama defense.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. I feel like this is the time that this defensive front can have a big game. And I'm expecting it with this, like you said, the LSU offensive line having trouble all year.
Jake, defensively, if you had to pick a guy who could make the biggest impact, or an X factor for you defensively for Alabama? Who are you going to go with?
I'm going to go outside the box here. I really like how this guy has come on. The last couple of games. That is Nakai Greenhill. He is starting to show what we was all excited about when he come to Alabama. Had a first couple of games were pretty rough. He didn't really get involved much. Now he's getting involved and he's making some big plays. So I think he can have a big game. Saturday as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Alabama edge defenders. So LT Overton, Yanze Pierre, LSU's tackles have struggled this year, Jake, big time.
Yeah.
And so they need to get after it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Alabama has an opportunity to get 4+ sacks in this game, in my opinion.
I agree.
So I think Pierre and LT Overton are going to be huge in this matchup on Saturday night. All right, bold prediction time, Jake. I know earlier this week we gave one apiece. You went defensively, and I went offensively. Now, yours defensively was James Smith would have multiple sacks.
2 sacks.
And mine was that Lottie Brooks would have his first career 100-yard receiving day. All right, so give me your offensive bold prediction for Alabama LSU.
Well, we talked about it in the earlier show, and we've talked about it extensively here tonight. Got to get that running game going. I think we do, and I think collectively as a unit, whether that be a combination of Riley and Miller and Hill, whoever, they collectively get 150 yards on the ground, and I can live with that.
I like it. Like it. Yeah. I mean, 150 yards rushing as a team. I mean, it doesn't sound like a ton, but when you're throwing for over 300, and it's more than enough. I like that. I like that a lot. So my bold prediction defensively for Alabama. This is. I don't want to jinx it, but I got to go. 2 straight games with with defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
I want to say we get another one. I'm gonna even change it. It's not gonna be a pick six. I want pick six. I think it's gonna be a scoop and score.
Okay.
Scoop and score from, maybe LT Overton or James Smith forces the fumble and somebody like Yanze Pierre picks it up. And you remember the or strip sack fumble. Remember Jahad Campbell's against Tennessee a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Something very similar to that happened.
Yeah.
That's what
I love that.
That's my bold prediction.
I love it.
All right, score prediction time, buddy. We're getting close to kick off here in a couple days. I'm trying to make sure the spread was 9.5. Last I looked earlier today. Make sure that's still what it is before we get there. It is 9.5 Alabama. Over and under set at 49.5. How are you feeling about that spread? What's your score prediction?
I think Alabama covers. And with it being at home, even if we had Bryant Denny West, because we just owned those, and I don't know what it is, it's crazy. But I feel like Alabama can cover this easily and win this game. I'm going to say Alabama wins 34-14.
I love that score prediction, Jake. And before you said that, I haven't even thought about my score prediction all week because I'm not a huge score prediction guy because there's too many freaking variables, and I like to be right. I don't like to be wrong. So I hate that kind of stuff. But it was kind of around the area I was in as well. And what I'll do is I'll change mine up what was in my head a little bit. I'm going to say Alabama wins this game 38-17. And 31, I think the offense can get 31, and with my defensive touchdown, I can see 38.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, buddy. Well, great show, man. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to Saturday night, man. This is I know LSU is going through a lot right now with Brian Kelly and all that, but they're a program I respect a ton. I mean, it's always fun when Alabama and LSU get together, and despite all that's going on, in Baton Rouge, this is still going to be a really fun game on Saturday night. There's going to be something that happens. There's going to be some craziness in this game because it's Alabama LSU. I mean, it's just
Right.
I mean, like last year, who would have thought Alabama would have done what they done to LSU in Baton Rouge?
I wouldn't, honestly.
I mean, it just
No.
dominated. And then,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, last time they were in Tuscaloosa, it was Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Milroe. They went back and forth. Was it 42-28? What a fun game that was. So, just all the great Saban versus Les Miles and God, who was there?
Ed
Ed
Orgeron.
Orgeron. Yeah,
Yep.
cannot think of his name. Just lot of good memories in Alabama LSU, but looking forward to Saturday night in Tuscaloosa.
You remember the 9-6 game? I mean, I'll never forget that. I don't think we're gonna have a 9-6 game this year though.
If we do, Alabama's in trouble.
Yeah, I'll be a nervous wreck at that entire game if that happens.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Appreciate y'all watching and tuning in, listening. However you, subscribe, download, follow, whatever you have to do. We're powered by Believe Network. Thank you to Believe Network for getting us distributed out on podcast platforms here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. Look, by the way, we still have like 60 to 70% of our audience on YouTube is not subscribed. So if you're watching this right now on YouTube, just look down below. If it doesn't say subscribe, just hit that button. It's not gonna charge you anything. It's not gonna do anything, but just subscribe you to our channel, and that just helps us. So we would greatly appreciate that. Smash that like button and jump in the comments and let us know your score prediction for Alabama LSU. Anything else to add, Jake?
No, man. Roll Tide, and man, let's get it, boys. We got the season ahead of us. We got a tough game in a few weeks, but we got to take it one game at a time.
That's right. That's right. We'll be here post game unless something crazy happens to give our live reaction to what happens in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. But until then, guys, we'll see you real soon. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.